The vast emptiness of space held many secrets, but none quite like this. Dr. Marcus Reed pressed his face against the observation window of the research vessel, his eyes wide with wonder. Before him floated hundreds of massive warships, their dark hulls gleaming under the light of distant stars. The fleet stretched far beyond what his eyes could see, each ship perfectly preserved in the cold vacuum of space. "Remarkable, aren't they?" he whispered, though no one stood close enough to hear him. The ships hung motionless, like sleeping giants waiting to be awakened. Their design was unlike anything he had ever seen, sleek, practical, and somehow both ancient and advanced at the same time. Behind him, the members of the Galactic Council's archaeological team moved about the bridge, taking readings and muttering among themselves. Most of them were tall, blue-skinned beings from the Arcturus system, their long fingers dancing over holographic displays as they worked. Dr. Reed called out one of the alien scientists. "These readings make no sense. The ships appear to be over 2,000 years old, yet their hull composition." He trailed off, mandibles clicking in confusion. Marcus smiled. As the only human on the team, he often found himself explaining things to his alien colleagues. He walked over to the console, his boots clicking against the metal floor. The readings indeed showed something extraordinary, a metal alloy that shouldn't have existed in that era. "Send a drone for a closer look," he ordered, and within minutes a small probe drifted toward the nearest warship. The vessel was massive, easily 3 kilometers long, with what appeared to be weapon ports along its sides. But what caught Marcus's attention were the markings near what he assumed was the bridge. "Magnify that section," he said, pointing to the symbols. As the image cleared, his heart nearly stopped. There, etched into the ancient hull, was a familiar sight: the United Earth Fleet insignia, accompanied by writing in English. "UEF Defender," Marcus read aloud, his voice filled with awe. This is a human ship." The announcement brought immediate scoffs from the alien scientists. The lead researcher, Dr. Vix, stepped forward, his tall frame towering over Marcus. "Impossible. Human civilization barely reached spaceflight 3 centuries ago. These ships are far older." Marcus felt a familiar frustration rising in his chest. The Galactic Council always dismissed humanity as newcomers to the galactic stage, treating them like children who had just learned to walk. But here was evidence of something more. "Look at the design," he argued, pulling up more scan data. "The engineering principles, the weapon placements, even the crew quarters, they all follow human design philosophy. We built these ships." "Primitive design," another researcher commented, examining the scans. "Look at these propulsion systems. No quantum drive, no fold space capability. They'd probably barely reached light speed." Marcus bit back a sharp reply. Instead, he focused on gathering more data. The drone's scans revealed something peculiar. The ships were completely intact, their systems merely dormant rather than dead. More importantly, they showed signs of technology that even modern ships didn't possess. "Sir," called one of the junior researchers, "we're detecting energy readings. Very faint, but they're there. These ships, they're still powered." The revelation silenced the bridge. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. 2,000 years, and these ships still had power. Even the best modern technology couldn't maintain power systems that long. As the team continued their investigation, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that they had stumbled upon something monumental. These weren't just old ships. They were proof that humanity's past held secrets even they had forgotten. The Council might laugh now, calling the fleet primitive and outdated, but Marcus knew better. "Record everything," he ordered, his voice firm with newfound purpose. "Every detail, every reading. Something tells me we're going to need this information sooner than we think." Little did he know just how right he was, or how soon these ancient vessels would prove their worth to a galaxy that had dismissed them as relics of a primitive past. 3 months after the discovery of the ancient fleet, Captain Emma Stone stood before the Galactic Council's emergency session, her hands clenched behind her back. The massive chamber was filled with representatives from 100 worlds, all talking at once. The reason for their fear was displayed on the giant holographic screen behind her. Another world had fallen to the Dominion. "The colony on New Haven has gone dark," she reported, her voice cutting through the chaos. "That's the 5th world this month." The images showed massive ships with black and red hulls, their weapons tearing through the planet's defensive fleet like paper. The council leader, an elderly being with silver skin, leaned forward. "How long until they reach the next populated system?" "At their current speed, 3 days," Emma replied. She pulled up a new display showing the Dominion's advance across council space. Their path of destruction was clear, a straight line toward the heart of civilization. From his seat near the back, Dr. Marcus Reed watched with growing concern. The Dominion ships on the screen seemed familiar somehow, though he couldn't quite place why. Their technology was far beyond anything the Council races possessed, making their shields nearly impenetrable and their weapons devastatingly effective. "Our best ships can't even scratch their shields," one military commander complained. "It's like they're using completely different laws of physics." Emma zoomed in on one of the Dominion vessels. "Look at their weapon ports," she said, her eyes narrowing. "The design. Dr. Reed, doesn't this remind you of something?" Marcus stood up, walking closer to the display. His eyes widened as he made the connection. "They're similar to the ancient fleet we found. The same basic structure, but twisted somehow. Less elegant." "You're still obsessed with those outdated relics," one of the council members scoffed. "We need real solutions, not historical curiosities." Before Marcus could respond, the chamber's emergency alarms began blaring. A new hologram appeared, showing a Dominion fleet emerging from hyperspace near one of the Council's major shipyards. The defenders scrambled to respond, but their weapons merely splashed harmlessly against the invaders' shields. "Watch this," Emma said, pointing to the footage. The Dominion ships fired their main weapons, beams of twisted purple energy that somehow passed right through the defenders' shields as if they weren't there. Modern warships, pride of the Council fleet, exploded one after another. Marcus pulled up his data pad, comparing the Dominion's weapons to his scans of the ancient fleet. The energy signatures are similar, but corrupted. It's like they're using an imperfect copy of the technology. "What are you suggesting?" the council leader asked, desperation evident in their voice. "I think the Dominion found some of our old technology, human technology, and reversed engineered it, but they don't fully understand how it works. They're using brute force where the original designs used precision." Emma stepped forward. "The ancient fleet we found. If we could activate it, we might have a chance. Their weapons and shields would be the original versions, not these crude copies." The chamber erupted in arguments. Many council members refused to believe that primitive human technology could be the answer. Others were simply desperate enough to try anything. "We don't even know if those ships still work," someone shouted. "They have power," Marcus countered. "After 2,000 years, they still have power. What does that tell you about their technology?" The debate was interrupted by another emergency signal. 2 more systems had gone dark while they argued. The Dominion's advance was accelerating. The council leader raised a hand for silence. "Captain Stone, Dr. Reed, you have 1 week to prove your theory. Try to activate one of the ancient ships, but only one. We can't risk losing the whole fleet if you're wrong." As Emma and Marcus hurried from the chamber, she turned to him. "Do you really think we can get them working?" He smiled grimly. "Those ships were built by humans at their peak, before whatever disaster forced us to start over. If anyone can unlock their secrets, it's us. Besides," he added, looking at the latest casualty reports, "we're running out of options." Deep in Earth's oldest library complex beneath the ruins of Old London, Marcus Reed and Emma Stone searched through ancient data crystals. The air was thick with dust, and their flashlights cast long shadows among the rows of storage units. They had only 5 days left before their deadline with the council. "Look at this," Emma called out, holding up a crystal that still glowed with a faint blue light. "It's still active after all these years." She carefully placed it into their reader, and holographic text filled the air around them. Marcus leaned closer, his eyes moving rapidly across the ancient words. "This is it. Project Guardian Fleet. The ships were part of humanity's defense network before the Great Sleep." "The Great Sleep?" Emma asked, brushing dust from another crystal. Everyone knew humans had lost most of their early history, but the details were always fuzzy. "According to this, our ancestors faced a choice," Marcus explained, scrolling through the data. "Some kind of disaster was coming, a wave of deadly radiation from the galaxy's core. They could either evacuate to another galaxy, which would take generations, or what? Or build special shelters and sleep through it. Put the entire human race into stasis for 1,000 years until the wave passed." He paused, reading further. "They chose to sleep. But first, they built the Guardian Fleet to watch over Earth and their other colonies while they slept." Emma whistled softly. "No wonder the ships still have power. They were built to last for thousands of years." She moved to another section of text. "But something went wrong, didn't it? That's why we lost all our technology." Marcus nodded grimly. "Many of the stasis facilities failed. Those who survived emerged into a changed world. Most of our technology was lost, our cities ruined. We had to start over almost from scratch." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message from the council. 3 more systems had fallen to the Dominion. The enemy was getting closer. "There has to be more," Emma said, frantically searching through more crystals. "The ships we found. How do we activate them?" Marcus's eyes lit up as new data scrolled past. "Wait, it says here the fleet's systems are genetically locked. They'll only respond to human DNA patterns." He looked up at Emma. "That's why the Dominion's copies of our technology don't work as well. They couldn't fully unlock the systems." "So we can activate the ships?" Emma asked, hope rising in her voice. "Yes, but..." Marcus frowned at the screen. "We need a full crew. The main systems require multiple human operators to initialize, some kind of failsafe to prevent the ships from being stolen." Emma was already reaching for her communicator. "I'll contact Earth Command. We can have volunteers ready within hours." She paused, looking back at the ancient text. "What else does it say about the ship's capabilities?" "There," Marcus's voice filled with awe. "They're far more advanced than we thought. The Council was wrong about them being primitive. These ships don't just have regular weapons, they have something called phase shift technology. Their weapons and shields exist partly outside normal space. That's why the Dominion's weapons ignore our modern shields," Emma realized. "They're using a crude version of this technology. But the original ships would be far more powerful." A distant rumble shook dust from the ceiling. Above ground, warning sirens began to wail. The Dominion had been spotted at the edge of the solar system. "We're out of time," Emma said, quickly gathering the most important data crystals. "We need to get back to the fleet now. Even if the Council laughs at us, we have to try." As they hurried from the ancient library, Marcus clutched the crystals containing humanity's lost legacy. "They won't be laughing much longer," he said quietly. "Not when they see what humanity was truly capable of." In orbit above them, the first Dominion scout ships appeared, their twisted versions of human technology casting purple shadows across Earth's defensive platforms. The race to awaken the ancient fleet had begun. The massive hangar of the ancient flagship UEF Defender was silent as Emma Stone led her team aboard. 50 human volunteers followed her, their footsteps echoing through halls that hadn't heard human voices in 2,000 years. Emergency lights from their equipment cast long shadows across the walls, revealing intricate patterns etched into the metal. "Remember," Marcus called out from behind them, "we only have one shot at this. The Council gave us permission to try one ship, just one." He checked his tablet, reviewing the activation protocols they'd discovered in the old data crystals. The ship's interior was surprisingly clean, preserved by automated maintenance systems that had quietly worked for centuries. As they approached the bridge, Emma noticed something strange. The emergency lights weren't needed anymore. The corridors were beginning to glow with a soft blue light. "It's responding to our presence," Marcus said excitedly. "The DNA recognition systems are active." They reached the bridge, a circular room filled with sleek control stations. Unlike modern ships with their holographic interfaces, these controls were a mix of physical and energy-based systems. Each station had a small panel that looked like a handprint scanner. "According to the manual," Marcus explained, "we'd need 5 human operators to initiate the startup sequence. Captain Stone, if you would take the command station." Emma stepped forward to the central chair. Around her, 4 other crew members took their positions at different stations. The handprint panels began to pulse with light. "On my mark," Emma ordered, her heart racing. 3, 2, 1, now." All 5 crew members placed their hands on the panel simultaneously. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire bridge came alive with light. Displays flickered on, showing system status in crystal-clear holographs. A gentle hum filled the air as the ancient power core awakened. A voice spoke, deep and clear, filling the bridge. Human genetic patterns confirmed. "Welcome, inheritors. I am HFY, Advanced Response Intelligence Array. This vessel has been in standby mode for 2,147 years, awaiting your return." Marcus nearly dropped his tablet. "The ship has an AI that's centuries ahead of our current technology." "AI." Emma spoke clearly. "We need to activate this ship for combat. Can you bring all systems online?" "Affirmative, Captain Stone. All systems are operating at optimal efficiency. However, I detect that the current situation is urgent. Hostile forces are approaching Earth using corrupted versions of inheritor technology." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. On the main screen, they watched as a Dominion battle fleet emerged from hyperspace near Mars. Dozens of their twisted black and red ships moved into attack formation. "Arara, what are our chances against that fleet?" Emma asked, studying the enemy positions. The AI's response was immediate. "Their technology is an imperfect reproduction of our systems. Their phase-shift weapons are operating at 23% efficiency compared to our originals. Victory is achievable." "Show me," Emma commanded. The bridge lit up with demonstrations of the ship's capabilities. Weapons that could fire through any known shield. Defenses that existed in multiple dimensions at once. Engines that could move the massive ship as easily as a fighter. Hull integrity at 100%. All weapons charge. Crew complement is minimal but sufficient for basic operations, Araya reported. "Shall we demonstrate our capabilities to these imitators?" Emma smiled grimly. "Marcus, contact the council. Tell them to watch closely." She settled into the command chair, feeling the ship come alive around her. "Araya, plot an intercept course. Let's show them what the original human technology can do." As the ancient warship moved forward, its engines glowing with power that had waited 2 millennia to be unleashed, the Dominion fleet began to turn toward them. They had no way of knowing that the single ship approaching them carried the full weight of humanity's lost golden age, and a very important lesson about underestimating primitive technology. The UEF Defender glided through space with impossible grace for a ship of its size. On the bridge, Emma watched as ARIA displayed tactical information across the main screen. The Dominion fleet ahead had noticed them, 15 warships turning to face the single ancient vessel. Multiple targeting locks detected. ARIA announced calmly. Enemy vessels charging weapons. Their energy signatures indicate copied phase shift technology. Marcus studied the readings from his station. "Look at how crude their systems are. It's like comparing a cave painting to a photograph." The first Dominion shots streaked across space, twisted beams of purple energy that had torn through every modern defense they'd encountered. Emma gripped her chair, but Araya seemed unconcerned. Activating original phase shift shields, the AI stated. The enemy fire hit their defenses and simply vanished. No impact, no strain on the shields. The energy was redirected into another dimension entirely. By the stars, one of the bridge crew whispered, "Did you see that?" Emma leaned forward. Araya, show them what real human weapons can do. Target the lead ship. Targeting. Araya confirmed. Firing main phase cannons. The defenders' weapons came alive. But instead of the crude purple beams used by the Dominion, brilliant white energy lanced out in perfect lines. When it struck the lead enemy ship, there was no explosion, no dramatic fire. The vessel simply ceased to exist, its matter cleanly separated across dimensional boundaries. On the Council observation channels, which had been broadcasting the encounter to every major world, silence fell. They had just witnessed their primitive human allies erase a top-of-the-line Dominion warship with a single shot. Enemy fleet is responding, Araya reported. They are attempting to adjust their copied phase shift technology to match our capabilities. Analysis suggests they will fail. Their understanding is incomplete. The remaining Dominion ships opened fire with everything they had. The space around the Defender filled with deadly energy, but none of it touched the ancient vessel. Araya's defenses were perfect, the product of humanity's golden age. "Marcus," Emma called out, "what are you seeing in their systems?" He was rapidly analyzing the data Araya provided. "It's amazing. Our ancestors didn't just build better weapons, they understood the fundamental laws of physics differently. The Dominion copied the end results without understanding the principles." As if to demonstrate this point, Araya targeted 3 more enemy ships. The white beams struck true, and like their leader, the vessels simply winked out of existence. The remaining Dominion ships began to retreat. "Captain," Araya's voice held a note of what almost sounded like pride. "I've accessed their communications. They're sending warnings to their fleet. The message translates to, 'Beware, original makers have returned.'" Emma smiled. "Original makers. I like that." She turned to Marcus. "What else can you tell us about how these ships were built?" Marcus was reading through historical files Araya had provided. According to this, humanity had spread across thousands of worlds before the Great Sleep. We didn't just have better technology. We had a completely different way of thinking about science. These ships were built to protect our sleeping civilization, designed to last for millennia. And now they'll help us take back our place among the stars, Emma added, watching as the last Dominion ships fled. Araya spoke again. "Captain, I have analyzed the current state of human civilization based on your computer records. Would you like me to begin uploading the complete technological database from humanity's golden age? I must warn you, the amount of knowledge contained is substantial." The bridge crew looked at each other in amazement. Their ancestors hadn't just built powerful ships, they had left their descendants the keys to rebuilding everything they had lost. "Upload it all, Araya," Emma ordered, "and prepare a report for the Council. I think they're going to want to revise their opinion about primitive human technology." As the data transfer began, Marcus looked out at the stars where the Dominion ships had been. "They laughed at these ships," he said quietly. "They won't be laughing anymore." The Galactic Council chamber erupted in cheers as Emma Stone finished her presentation. The holographic display showed the complete destruction of the Dominion Scout Fleet, and more importantly, the successful activation of 4 more ancient ships from the human fleet. "With the Council's permission," Emma said, standing tall before the assembled representatives, "we're ready to begin our counterattack. Araya has provided us with coordinates for every major Dominion base." The Council leader, who had once dismissed the ancient fleet as primitive, now leaned forward with keen interest. "How many ships can we activate?" 20 fully operational warships within the next 48 hours, Marcus answered from his position beside Emma. each one equipped with the original phase shift technology, not the flawed copies the Dominion uses. The massive screen behind them changed to show a tactical map. Red dots marked Dominion-controlled systems, while blue markers showed the positions of the activated human vessels. Aria's voice filled the chamber, causing many council members to jump in surprise. Analysis complete. Optimal attack pattern calculated. The Dominion's tactical weakness lies in their incomplete understanding of phase shift principles. Their copy technology requires 18 seconds to recharge between shots. Original human weapons have no such limitation. Emma pointed to the largest cluster of red dots. They'd concentrated their forces here, thinking their numbers will protect them. They don't realize that our ships can target multiple vessels simultaneously. In the following hours, the chamber became a war room. The ancient human ships, now crewed by volunteers who had trained with Aria's guidance, moved into position. Modern council vessels would provide support, but the real fighting would be done by humanity's legacy. All ships report ready, Marcus announced, reading from his datapad. Aria has synchronized their AIs. They'll fight as one unit, just like they did 2,000 years ago. Emma took her place on the command chair of the Defender. The other ships fell into formation around them, their gleaming hulls catching the light of distant stars. On her screen, she could see the faces of her fellow captains, all humans, all chosen by Aria's genetic recognition systems. Remember, she addressed her fleet, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting to prove that humanity's past achievements weren't jokes or exaggerations. We're fighting to show that our ancestors built these ships to protect peace in the galaxy. The fleet jumped into phase space, another technology that made modern FTL drives look primitive by comparison. They emerged directly in the heart of Dominion territory, surrounding their largest fleet concentration. The enemy reacted quickly, but their copied weapons were useless against the original phase shift shields. Aria coordinated the attack, her consciousness spread across all 20 ships. The white beams of pure human technology lanced out in perfect synchronization. Dominion ships vanished by the dozens, their matter scattered across dimensions they had never truly understood. Their return fire, when it came, was desperate and uncoordinated. They had grown used to being the superior force, and now they faced the very civilization they had unknowingly copied. Enemy fleet at 40% strength and falling, Aria reported calmly. Their command structure is breaking down. They are beginning to realize the full extent of their technological disadvantage. Emma watched as another wave of perfect white beams cut through space. Send them a message, she ordered. Tell them we're reclaiming every world they've taken. Tell them that the children of Earth have remembered who they are. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it was over, the largest Dominion fleet in the galaxy had been reduced to scattered debris and dimensional echoes. The few surviving ships fled, broadcasting warnings to their entire empire. As the dust settled, Marcus looked at the casualty reports in amazement. Not a single loss on our side. Not even shield damage. Our ancestors. He shook his head in wonder. They really did build these ships to last. And to protect, Emma added softly, just like we're doing now. She turned to address her fleet again. Next target coordinates locked in. The Dominion thought they could conquer the galaxy with stolen technology. Time to show them why you should never underestimate the original inventors. 1 month after the Great Battle, the halls of the ancient ship UEF Defender buzzed with activity. Scientists and engineers from every council race worked alongside humans, learning the principles of original phase shift technology. Gone were the dismissive looks and condescending comments. Now there was only wonder and respect. Emma Stone walked through these halls with Marcus Reed, both of them now wearing the newly created Ancient Fleet Command insignia. Behind them, Aria projected a holographic presence, something she had started doing to better interact with the crews. The last Dominion stronghold surrendered this morning, Emma reported, checking her datapad. They're turning over all their copy technology for proper disposal. Marcus nodded, stopping to watch a group of alien scientists examining one of the ship's power cores. Hard to believe they're the same council members who laughed at these primitive ships just weeks ago. Humans have an interesting saying, Araya commented, her holographic form shimming slightly. He who laughs last, laughs best. They entered the main research bay, where pieces of recovered Dominion technology were being compared to their original human versions. The differences were striking. Where the copies were crude and inefficient, the originals were elegant and precise. Captain Stone, a young engineer, ran up to them, excitement clear on his face. We've decoded another section of the historical database. You need to see this. The display showed star maps, thousands of them, marking locations of other human installations from before the Great Sleep. More importantly, it showed the locations of other Guardian fleets. There are 4 more fleets out there, Marcus whispered in awe. Each as large as this one, each waiting for human crews to wake them. Emma studied the map carefully. And research stations, colonies, manufacturing facilities. Our ancestors left us everything we'd need to rebuild their civilization. They planned for our eventual return. Araya's hologram nodded. The Great Sleep was never meant to be the end. It was a pause, a way to preserve humanity and its achievements until the galaxy was safe again. Now, after 2,000 years, you have not only survived but proven yourselves worthy of your inheritance. The council leader entered the bay, accompanied by representatives from 20 different worlds. The alien leader looked at the ancient ship's interior with newfound respect. Captain Stone, Dr. Reed, the council leader said, we've finished reviewing your proposal. The council unanimously agrees to support the Human Renaissance Project. All resources you need will be provided to help recover and restore humanity's lost technologies. Marcus smiled. And our condition? Accepted without question. All recovered technology will be shared equally among council races, with proper safety protocols in place. We've learned our lesson about the dangers of using technology we don't fully understand. Emma turned to Araya. Show them what we found this morning. The AI projected a new star map, this one showing a massive structure deep in unexplored space. This, Araya explained, is the Grand Archive, the largest repository of human knowledge ever created. It contains not just technology, but art, literature, music, the full cultural heritage of humanity's golden age. The council members gasped at the scale of the structure. One of them, the same scientist who had first laughed at the primitive fleet, stepped forward. We were wrong, he admitted quietly, about everything. Your ancestors weren't primitive. They were far beyond anything we've achieved. Will you forgive our arrogance? Emma looked at Marcus, then at Araya's softly glowing form. There's nothing to forgive. Instead, let's focus on building something new together. Humanity is remembering its past, but we're not interested in ruling or dominating. We want to share, to teach, to learn, and to protect. Marcus added, that's what these ships were built for in the first place. As if in response, the Defender's lights brightened slightly. Outside the viewports, the other ships of the ancient fleet floated in formation, their hulls gleaming with power and purpose. They were no longer relics or curiosities. They were bridges between humanity's magnificent past and its promising future. After all, Emma said, looking out at the stars, the best way to honor our ancestors' legacy is to use their gifts to make the galaxy a better place for everyone. She smiled. And maybe to remember that appearances can be deceiving. Sometimes the most advanced civilization isn't the one laughing. It's the one being laughed at.